Hey there, welcome to day 12 of our 40-day Get Up and Go challenge. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here, your guide as we go through this challenge, through this process of SOAP, a 4-step process to handle any challenge, any change in your life, in my life, that comes our way. And guess what? Changes and challenges, they're popping up all the time right now. 2020, I believe, will go down as the year in history, at least in my lifetime, with the most across the board global impact of change that affects the most number of people ever. I can't think of a time in history, and maybe there has been one where more people have been affected, but I don't think so, because there's more people on the planet than there ever were before. So today, big question, now what? Now what do we do? We've gone through the SOAP steps once, and I want to take a step back and show you where SOAP came from. This is actually a framework that, geez, I developed this a long time ago in corporate America and in my life for handling situations, handling problems, dealing with challenges. And I'll put a picture of this. I'm going to clean this up and put it in, and make it a nice graphic, but I'll just take a snapshot of it and I'll put it in the comments below. But basically, it's the real process of how I dealt with changes, because when I first started looking at big challenges in my life and how much progress I was or wasn't making toward dealing with them, I realized I wasn't making hardly any progress. And that's because I didn't have a systematic way of dealing with it. Everything that came up, I just reacted to. Pretty much human nature, right? Until we learn better, we just keep doing what we've always done. Until we know more, we don't know even what we don't know. I was in that same boat, right? Well, then I started to investigate and ask myself, well, what's going on here? What am I doing that's working? What am I doing that's not working? And I figured out that there's this system that I go through, and it turns out every other human being does it too. Who knew? And I wanted to figure out, well, how can I make it work for me instead of against me? And that's when I came up with, this is actually a 10-step process, and this is the process I shared in the 30-day Get Up and Go challenge. And I've shared it in other things as well when I do challenges and teach people how to do challenges for themselves and for other people. This is the longer version of the process, this SOAP process that I teach. Now, I'm probably going to move more towards SOAP, because SOAP is a heck of a lot easier to remember, and it's a lot easier to do, and it's a lot quicker and easier to make an ongoing automatic part of your way of dealing with challenges and change in situations than this 10-step process is. But I want to quickly go over the 10-step one so to understand what things are combined into the SOAP, because as I mentioned the first time through this, each component actually involves more than one thing. When we think about what we're going to work on, the first step for me is research. What do I want? What is it that I want? And we did that, right? I'm breaking the whole process down through the 40-day challenge, and you'll experience it firsthand. But I also want to explain to you what we're experiencing, because I didn't cover it in the first 11 days of the program, and so I want to make sure, or this challenge, so I want to go back and just take a quick snapshot back today and show this. And then our action item today is going to be, now what? What's next, right? How are you feeling about, how's it going with what we did for our first time through the SOAP process? I guess I'll do it right now. We talked about, and I selected physical well-being as the one area of my life. Again, you'll see that the foundation of my little diagram is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, and contribution. It's the 7 main areas of our life. Those are the foundation of everything, of who we are, how we decide things. It's how we are in each of those areas. That's our being, right? All combined, that's who we are. That's our being. And those are the foundation, and they affect everything else. This process and every other process that we have or experience, or every other thing that we have and experience in our life. So we picked one of those. I picked physical, because I know that during COVID-19, I have let part of my physical, taking care of myself, slip, and some other old habits sneak back in. And I want to make sure that I'm correcting that. So that was my area. I picked that. I said, what's my current situation? Story, situation. What story am I telling myself? What's my current situation? How's it going? And then, what do I want? I have to know where I am right now. I have to be brutally honest with myself. Where am I right now? And where do I want to be? And that will be different for each and every one of us. And then once we know that, we ask ourselves, well, what are my options? What could I do? What can I do? What's possible? What are all the different infinite possibilities of what I could do to affect my health, to move me from where I am to where I want to be? And then I brainstormed those options as part of the O, and then action. I had to pick and analyze and say, what one thing am I going to do now? What is the next thing I'm going to do to move me toward what I want? And I was going to cut out sugar. Now, it's only been a day or two, right? So progress, the P in soap, I don't know the results and the impact of that yet, right? The first couple days of changing something like that in our physical being, it doesn't usually show up immediately. Now, have I craved more sugar? Yes. Have I eaten more sugar? No. But I've already decided that what's next for me, or now what, is I need to continue that no sugar through the whole 30-day challenge, right? Or 40-day challenge, 40-day challenge. So every day I'm just going to no sugar, no sugar, no sugar. And then that gives me a little bit more time. That gives me, another 20 days to know, well, how does this really impact me? Am I feeling better? Am I more energized? Am I losing weight? Are my clothes fitting better? Whatever my measures are, just to determine if I'm making results in the direction I want to go or not, up to me. So that's mine. But my next one is, well, now what? How am I feeling about my progress? Well, I already know, and I guess I just answered that question. I already know I don't know, and I haven't had enough time to see a result of that. And when in our physical well-being, we're all different. Sometimes you'll notice a difference right away. Other times it will take longer, and so you have to say, well, I don't know if it's working or not yet. Should I keep doing it, or should I stop? If you've got negative results and negative impact, I did this with vitamins. There's certain vitamins that I take that immediately make me sick to my stomach. Iron is one of those, and I learned in college, all the way back in college, I learned that if I took my iron in the morning on an empty stomach, I was going to throw up on the way to class. It happened so many times, and it only happened a few times before I learned I cannot take my iron on an empty stomach in the morning before I go to class, or I'm going to get sick. So I stopped doing it. I moved it to the end of the day. I made sure I ate before I took it, things like that. But we have to be able to give ourselves time to test things out. That was almost an immediate thing. That was, within an hour I was going to throw up. So that didn't work out for me. So I stopped doing it. And physically, financially, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for us to actually know what the result is and if we're making progress in the right direction or not before we move on and make decisions. And that's part of why this longer version is a little bit better for bigger challenges and bigger problems. I'll actually stretch it out over a number of days to actually make sure I'm giving certain type of challenges and situations more time and energy than I'm just immediately deciding. But I want to ingrain in you now the SOAP method so that when smaller things, and you get practice with these, what's really interesting is decision making is like a muscle. The more decisions and the more we practice making decisions and knowing how we work, the faster and the easier and the better it is for us, and the better outcomes we'll get with those decisions. It's like any other thing. It's what we practice, what we do, when it's the little things that will help us when the big things come up. COVID-19, I don't think has impacted me as much as it has a lot of other people, because I've had years of experience practicing and doing and making decisions about my health and about my situation, about how I'm going to do things and how I need to physically distance from other people. So when it hit, it's like, okay, this is inconvenient. This kind of sucks for a lot of people, but for me, there's not a whole lot of change, a whole lot of difference. And that's because, and so decisions are easy for me to make because I've had so much practice already making those type decisions. And that's what SOAP and the SOAP process will help you to do. You will get better and better and better at handling changes and challenges and on autopilot, so that when the big things come up, they have less of an impact on you, and you're better suited and prepared to deal with them because you practice the process and it's become automatic on so many little decisions and so many little challenges and little things that come up in your life, that when the bigger things come up, you're so much more confident, and you're so much more able to deal with them and handle them in a way that's going to benefit you the most in your situation the most. So that's going to be our assignment today, is going to be to ask ourselves, do we need to keep going in the area that we're on? Is that what we want to do? Or what I'm going to do personally is I want to do during this 40-day challenge, I already decided I want to impact for sure 3 areas of my life. So I'm going to pick health, wealth, and relationships. So health I already did, physical, that was my first time through the SOAP process. Now I'm going to go into financial, and I'm going to tell you right now, this is personally the one where I have the most, what we're going to talk about in the long-term research one. And then I'm going to do relationship one. So for sure I'm going to go through one of each of those areas as an example, and I'm doing it myself because I'm doing the challenge right along with you to positively impact my health, my wealth, and my relationships. My health, my finances, or my physical well-being, my finances, and my relationships. Because those are actually, if we look at my rating of those areas of my life, they all got a 5, right? Those 3 areas are all the ones I rated the lowest in my life right now. And so those are the ones that I want to focus on improving. Now, it doesn't mean I'm not doing things in my mental, my emotional, my spiritual, and my contribution. I'm always doing things a little bit in every area of our life, right? Remember, because I said if we ignore one long enough, it will get our attention, right? So that's why I decided health, wealth, and relationships were going to be the 3 areas that I focused on for myself personally in the challenge. You can do whatever you want. If you found that you did one physical thing and your physical well-being is still the thing that's really of top priority and most important to you right now, there have been times in my life where my physical well-being had to take precedence over everything. Following my sudden cardiac arrest, I had to let everything else go and focus 100% on my health and my physical well-being. And that's because for like the 2 decades prior, I had given it like almost 0 attention. And I am not understating that or overstating it. I did the very bare minimum to get by when it came to my health for those 2 decades, and I needed to pay the price for that. So let's quickly go over. So our assignment is, are you going to pick a new area? What's your next area? Or are you going to stay in the same area? And then what are you going to do going forward? All you have to share in the comments below is now what? What are you going to do now? And say, hey, I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep testing this thing that I was doing. I'm going to stay in the same area, or I'm going to go to a different area. And then just put, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, relationship, contribution, or financial. Which area are you going to work on next? And I'm just kind of getting a feel for what is of most importance to you so that I make sure that I give examples of that as well as we're talking. This one's going so long. Sorry about that. All right, so let me just quickly share and talk through the bigger system that led to SOAP. The first thing is, what do we want? That's research, followed by, well, what are my beliefs and my emotions about that thing? So we did this under our story, our situation. We're asking ourselves, what is our current situation and where do we want to go? So that kind of combines the belief and the emotions. Then the next step is we figure out what we want, what our mindset is, and we move on to information gathering. We do a lot of research in my world, right? So we're going to find out what are the options, and we're doing that research and we're doing information gathering to find out what else is possible. What have other people done to improve this area of their life? What have other people done? Are there role models? Are there people that I can model and learn from so I don't have to make a whole bunch of mistakes myself? In the area of health, for example, there is so much research and so much information and so many studies and things out there of the different things that we could do. Say there's a lot of talk about turmeric for inflammation and or magnesium or something, right? Now, instead of reinventing the wheel and figuring out what is it, what are the impacts, is it right for me, what's the right quantity to try, I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can do a little bit of internet research, a couple of minutes, like 10, and I can figure out what is it the right thing for me, and then how much and what should I do to try it on myself. We can do this in any area of our life or any area that we're working on. If we just spend a few minutes asking questions and Googling, now the trick here is to not get sucked in and lost in the void that is the internet, because I love research, and if you're like me, you can go and you can start researching, and all of a sudden 3 hours have gone by and you've gone down all these rabbit holes and you still don't have the answer to the question that you originally went on there for. So make sure that you set a timer. I like to set a timer for like 10 or 15 minutes, and then when it goes off, I pull myself back to the original question and I make sure I'm still on track to get the answer I want. Because we can spend hours and hours and days and weeks and months and years researching something, or we can spend 10 focused minutes and really know, because we're only looking for what's my next step. We're not looking for you know, everything I have to do to achieve something. We're looking for, what do I do next? What's my next step? So information gathering, and that will lead to a bunch of options. Then we can, again, look at all the options, look at the research. We can select an option. Is 1, 2, 3, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 6 is select an option. 7 is test the selection. So we pick what we're going to do, and then we test it out on ourselves, and then we observe the results. Did it work? Didn't it work? Did we need to give it a longer test? Do we need to abandon it? I say negative impact, you stop doing it, right? Positive impact or no impact, you have to kind of keep going till you know which direction you're going. We want to make sure every single step we take is moving us toward what we want. Now, will it? No. Guess what? Most of what we do and try will either give us no result or a negative result. That's just inherent in life, right? You know, if we remember our lifeline, our life doesn't go from A to B in a nice straight line. It goes like a roller coaster ride. I don't know anybody's life hardly at all, unless they're not taking any risks, they're not really trying to do much, they're just kind of going through their life in a happy place, you know, with I don't even know how to describe that, but I don't know anybody personally whose life has really gone from A to B with no ups and downs. A lot of times we get deluded into believing that that is so for other people and not for us, especially with social media. We see people's final destination where they are, but we often don't see any of their journey. We only see where they are, and we look at them and we think, we get jealous and we get envious, and we're like, how in the heck did they accomplish all these great things in such a short amount of time? Well, what you don't realize is that they had 25 years of trial and error in another area that they applied and went, and they're just telling you their story from the time that they started to do the thing that they've had success in, and they're only telling you the highlights. The biggest mistake many of us fall into is believing the highlight reel of what people put out into the universe, especially on social media or in forms of communication that are designed to influence us, right? So we need to observe the results. Once we observe the results and we're starting to move in the direction we want, we need to decide, is this something I want to keep doing? What's next? Do I want to keep doing this? Or do I want to turn it into a process and a system so that it becomes a habit or a ritual or automatic for my business or for my life? I will tell you right now, if I find out by the end of the 40-day challenge that eliminating sugar or almost all sugar from my diet gives me positive results, guess what? I'm not going to stop after 40 days. I'm going to keep doing that. I did that with exercise. I found out after my sudden cardiac arrest that exercising every day not only helped my heart health, but it also helped my inflammation in my joints and my arthritis, and made it possible for me to move and have energy and do things that I wasn't able to do for the 20 years prior, which is really scary because I'm, 30 years older now than then. So we want to decide, is it something I'm going to keep doing? If it's something you're going to keep doing, you want to build a system or a structure to make it automatic. It's what we do with the soap process. We will repeat it a few times so that it becomes automatic. We automatically will go through those steps in our mind. I cannot not do plan, do, check, act. Whenever I have a new situation or a new project, I can't even not do that. It automatically plays in my head. All right, I'm going to plan this project, I'm going to do it, I'm going to check, and I'm going to act. Because it's a framework that I learned early on in college, and it was the basis and the foundation of my whole quality education. Even on the quality manager's exam, they expected you to use the plan, do, check, act framework in all of the essay questions, all of the way that you broke down project and strategies. That is so ingrained in me, I can't even not use that when I look at anything these days. And that's what I want to happen with Soap for You. I want it to be just, you have a challenge or a situation that comes up, and your brain and your subconscious automatically take you through this process. That's how powerful it is. So we're going to decide, do we need to systematize it? Do we need to automate it? Can we make it a habit or ritual? Can we delegate it to someone else to make sure that it always happens in our business or in our life? I did this with bathroom cleaning. I hate cleaning the bathroom. I know it's weird, but I just don't like cleaning bathrooms. Never have, never will. Have I had to? Yes. But one of the first things I ever delegated when I got married, the ex-husband, I was like, hey, I'll do everything else, but you need to clean the bathrooms. And then my kids, when they got older, we delegated it to them, and then we got help doing it. But that's just one thing that has to get done, right? It's important for the quality of our life to clean the bathroom and keep things clean and sanitary. So I know it needs to get done, but I realize I don't have to be the one to do it. So I can automate that process by delegating it to someone else, making it their responsibility. And then the last step is continuous improvement and review and audits of what is and isn't working. Because guess what? I recently discovered that walking, being my primary and pretty much only form of physical exercise, isn't really working for me anymore. I need to step it up and do different things. And if I wasn't continuously reviewing and checking in on that, I might not know that, and I would continue to walk for another 10 years and wonder why I was getting less and less and less mobile, less and less healthy. So that applies to any area of our life. We need to put a system in place, but we can't just let it go forever and never give it any attention. If I just delegated bathroom cleaning and never really paid attention or checked, is it actually still getting done? Is this system working? Do I need to go from the ex-husband to the kids to somebody else cleaning the bathrooms for me? And those changes needed to happen, but I wouldn't have known if I wasn't paying attention on some regular basis to the continuous improvement of that process. So that was a lot today, gone a little bit longer than I usually do, but I wanted to share the overall bigger picture, because sometimes for bigger problems, it helps me personally to break it down more than just using the 4-step SOAP method. So our action item today, questions about this, hit me up in the comments below. If you would like me to actually do this as a training or a little masterclass and really break it down and show you step by step exactly how I do this for bigger projects, I would love to do that. Just share in the comments below that you'd like to see. Otherwise, our action item today is now what? Answer the question for yourself, now what? Am I going to continue in this same area of my foundational 7 areas of my life? Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, relationships, contribution, and what am I forgetting? Financial. Why do I forget financial? That's why I'm doing financial next, because I always put it last. Or are you going to stay in the same? Or, okay, so maybe just in the comments below, share what area you're working on for the next time. We're going to go through the SOAP model again, and we're going to learn some distinguishing things. I wanted to cover, I'm going to give you a sneak peek of tomorrow. I wanted to cover a Venn diagram that I was recently exposed to that I love. And it's all about mindset, motivation, and methods. And those are the 3 things that when we combine those together, they will almost guarantee our success. So we will sneak peek, cover that Venn diagram tomorrow as part of the new S. But you need to decide what area are you going to work on. You're going to continue in the same area and just go through the process again. I could go through physical for probably 20 iterations or more before I feel 100% confident. But I want to make sure I'm hitting during this challenge specifically on 3 areas of my life that I know need attention, the ones that I know need the most attention. That's it. Have an awesome day. If I can help you in any way, ask in the comments below. Otherwise, I will be with you tomorrow.